Stanton Hall is one of the most iconic Southern homes in America, often called the jewel of Southern Greek Revival architecture. Admired for its monumental scale, iconic white columns, and commanding presence, this is one of those homes that didn't just follow the Southern design playbook, it helped define it. And if it looks familiar to you, it should. Stanton Hall has been a filming location for movies and TV shows over the years, and it's one of the real-life inspirations behind Disney's Haunted Mansion, after Disney designers toured iconic Southern estates across the country when developing the look for the mansion. And when you're here, you can feel that connection. And inside is a Southern design time capsule. The architecture, plasterwork, layout, and many of the original furnishings remain exactly as they were more than 160 years ago, making you feel as if you're a guest entering a home that's been anticipating your arrival. Today, we're touring Stanton Hall in Natchez, Mississippi, exploring its interiors, history, and all of the details that make this home a true icon of Southern design. Hi, I'm Allie, and welcome back to Fab Little Dish, where we celebrate vintage homes, historic interiors, and the stories that keep these places alive. If you love historic house tours, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps support preservation and awareness of these gorgeous homes, which each represent a piece of our history. Now let's head to Natchez, Mississippi to continue our Southern architecture tour. Built in 1857, Stanton Hall occupies an entire city block in Natchez, a house so monumental it's crowned by a 5-story portico supported by 4 soaring 40-foot Corinthian columns. From the moment you approach it, the scale alone tells you that this home was never meant to blend in. Construction at the height of the cotton boom by Frederick Stanton, the home was designed as a true showpiece, an architectural statement meant to announce wealth, success, and legacy. At the time, America was deeply fascinated with ancient Greece and Rome, and Southern architects embraced those classical forms as symbols of power, order, and permanence. Here in the South, those ideas were adapted for climate and lifestyle, with wide porches, shaded galleries, weather-resistant decorative ironwork, and dramatic columns, creating what we now recognize as Southern Greek Revival architecture, which this home is a prime example of. And what really sets Stanton Hall apart, even among other Greek Revival homes, is its scale and ornamentation. The 2-story sided porches wrapped in ornate ironwork, the elaborate wrought iron detailing along the front, and the sheer mass of the structure elevate it. It's often described as the grandest of the great white column homes in Natchez, and standing in front of it, you really feel that immediately. The proportions are intentionally overwhelming. You feel smaller in relation to the building, a design instinct that later influenced the sense of awe visitors experience when approaching Disney's Haunted Mansion, where the architecture is meant to dominate your field of vision. This is how this home inspired the look for Disney's Haunted Mansion. It was one of the many homes that was on the must-see list across the country when they were coming up with the final designs of Disney's Haunted Mansion. Frederick Stanton spared no expense when building this home, investing roughly $83,000, a staggering sum in the 1850s. Frederick Stanton was an Irish immigrant who rose rapidly through the cotton trade. He lived here for just 9 months before dying of yellow fever in 1859, and it's essential to acknowledge that the wealth behind this house was built on the labor of enslaved people, whose lives and work made estates like Stanton Hall possible. Frederick Stanton built Stanton Hall, but it was his wife, Huldah Stanton, who truly lived here and sustained it. Huldah came from a prominent family herself and had been married to Frederick for many years before moving into Stanton Hall with the rest of their family. Together, they had 7 children, though, like many Southern families in the mid-19th century, devastating epidemics such as yellow fever claimed the lives of several of them. After Frederick's death, Huldah remained at Stanton Hall, keeping it at the center of Natchez society despite enormous financial and emotional strain. She maintained the home, preserving its dignity, and carried forward the legacy she and Frederick had envisioned together. Without her perseverance, Stanton Hall would not be the house we know today. In the 1930s, the property was acquired and restored by the Natchez Garden Club, whose careful stewardship preserved not only the structure, but the interiors, furnishings, and the architectural details that make Stanton Hall one of the most intact Greek Revival mansions in America. Everything here was meant to signal wealth and power on a level Natchez had never seen before, and once you step inside, you immediately feel that. The central hallway stretches more than 70 feet, with ceilings rising 16 feet high, creating an immediate sense of drama and scale. The carved arches, the rhythm of space and light, and the deliberate symmetry were all designed to impress from the moment you first walked in. Original furnishings remain throughout the hallway, including this Gothic Revival hall stand and the matching chairs alongside it. With over 14,000 square feet, Stanton Hall doesn't contain any reproduction of furnishings. Everything you see is either original to the house or period appropriate, with only the fabrics being reproduced over time. This is the ladies' parlor, where formal entertaining took place, and where Stanton Hall immediately sets itself apart. The ladies' parlor and adjoining music room together stretch over 70 feet long, visually divided by an Italianate revival arch that transitions the space beautifully. Along the ceiling, you'll notice egg and dart molding, a classical motif symbolizing life and death. The carved surrounds framing the mirrors, doors, and windows reinforce that sense of symmetry and balance throughout the space. The mantel is richly ornamented with fruit, cherubs, and vines, all symbols of abundance, fertility, and prosperity, themes repeated throughout the house. The window treatments are intentionally dramatic, layered with tassels and fringe, and while the carpet you see today is a reproduction, it's based on an 1850s Natchez pattern. During large gatherings, rugs like this one would have been rolled up, allowing the polished pine floors to shine and have dancing extend into the hall and this parlor as an overflow for entertaining. The gilt mirrors, designed specifically for Stanton Hall, were imported from France, so they're not only decorative, they're also very functional, reflecting light and visually doubling the size of the rooms. Overhead, the chandeliers we see feature cherubs, flowers, and fruit, once again representing love, beauty, and harmony, themes meant to set the emotional tone of formal social life. Themes meant to carry out the same emotional tone throughout the home. The fireplaces are carved from white Italian Carrara marble, shipped through New York before making their way to the South. Several original furnishings remain here, including this striking red chair and some of the others surrounding it. The library was Frederick Stanton's private office, and the tone shifts immediately in here. Power and authority radiate from this massive oak desk, which belonged to Frederick Stanton himself. The desk, bookcase, the desk chair, and the side chairs in here are all original to the Stanton family when they lived here. Above, the gasolier is this very interesting style. It's almost medieval Game of Thrones-like, with chains and gargoyles, knights and spears, dragon heads, imagery associated with protection, strength, and dominance. This room leans heavily into Gothic Revival, a style often chosen to convey masculinity and command. This is the largest historic dining room in Natchez, Mississippi, measuring 35 feet long by 22 feet wide, a space designed for spectacle. The custom-built dining table seats 24 guests and was crafted locally in Natchez. The table, along with both sideboards, are also original to Stanton Hall. The gasoliers above, with branching arms echoing the oak trees that stand in front of the property itself. Displayed here are 70 pieces of Mrs. Stanton's Old Paris hand-painted china, imported from France. This really gives us an idea of what Mrs. Stanton's style looked like and the beautiful things she surrounded herself with. The staircase is built into the wall itself and carved from Honduran mahogany, a costly imported wood favored for its durability and rich color. Upstairs, the architectural language becomes more restrained. This is where the Stanton family spent most of their private time. Ceilings rise 14 feet with 9-foot doors throughout. There are 6 bedrooms on this level. The children's rooms are to the right, and Frederick and Mrs. Stanton's rooms are to the left. This French wallpaper depicts a romanticized fantasy of India, and it was added by the Natchez Garden Club in the 1940s. During the Stanton era, these walls would have been completely white, allowing the architecture and furnishings to take center stage, again reinforcing that element of restraint up here compared to downstairs. This was the bedroom of Stanton's 14-year-old daughter. The gasolier features cupids with bows and arrows, symbols of youth and romance, and very perfect for a young girl's room. This is Mrs. Stanton's bedroom, and this contains original pieces as well, including her dressing table and 2 chairs. These are gorgeous showpieces for the room and stand out on their own. At one point, this was considered the fair weather sitting room. Today, this space contains canopy beds added in by the Garden Club in the 1940s. This is Mr. Stanton's bedroom. The furniture dates back to 1860s, and this is actually where Patrick Swayze stayed when he was filming on location. This room served as one of the boys' bedrooms, and remarkably, all of the furniture here is original to the house. Even these fireplaces that are throughout the bedrooms, they're made from black pictorial Italian marble, a rich, dramatic choice that adds richness and contrast to the space. This bedroom features a half canopy bed as a way to hold the mosquito nets, an essential feature in the South where insects and heat were a constant part of daily life. Walking through this house, it's easy to understand why Stanton Hall continues to shape how we imagine grand Southern architecture today. The scale, the symmetry, and the theatrical use of space were all designed to impress, which this home very much does. Thank you so much for joining me on this historic house tour of Stanton Hall in Natchez, Mississippi. If you enjoy exploring historic houses, interior design, and the stories behind these walls, make sure you're subscribed and turn on that notification bell so you never miss one of these tours. Until the next one, my friends, keep enjoying the beauty of vintage home. Au revoir.